Hey, yo, what's good? It's your boy Wings and 24 Karat Kev.
Hello.
And you're tapped in with the Take Flight podcast. Today, we're doing things a little bit different. We got you guys at home to ask us a whole gang of questions that you've been hitting the DMs with over and over again. And we got a special guest to come in and host for us. So shout out Hauie in the building. Hauie Beast. What's up, my brother? What's happening?
OG How in the
Finally
building.
let me in the building.
Hey. No, first of all, thank you so much for coming through, because me and Kev were going to sit here and read the questions off the paper, but you offered, you
that'd
come
be pretty
through.
boring, eh? So
you
you did the right thing.
But yeah, let's get into it, bro.
Yeah,
Thank you
man.
for coming through again.
First question from the audience.
Yeah, big shout out to everyone sending the questions in as well. And thank you guys for having me on. Truly appreciate it. Here, Take Flight, doing big things. Congratulations, guys.
Bro, thank you, man. Look.
I didn't do anything, but thank you.
Hey, you
Like you said, you're the pretty face of it all. So
Yeah, on the face of it.
Could be prettier, but you know.
Could
what I mean.
have been.
But look at you, man. It's very early in the morning. This is as early as we've ever done a podcast before. You're styling on us, bro. Come on, man.
I wake up like this, man. So,
Hey.
don't worry about it. Don't
We'll
worry
get some
about
tips a bit later on, I'm sure.
it. All right, let's get into the questions.
Let's do it,
All
bro.
right, first one. You have to choose an artist to be your tag team partner for the WWE tag team belts. Who are you taking?
Okay, Wings already put up an Instagram post a few weeks ago saying that we're the new Dudley Boys. So it has to be Wings because you're technically a rapper, right?
Oh, look, we've made some raps over my time, but I'm not choosing you. I apologize, bro.
That's all right, bro. That's all right.
So you taking me?
No.
Already switching up on me, bro.
It's other Wings, or he's technically not a rapper, but Marley. Shout out to Marley from
Okay,
1-4.
all right, yeah,
I reckon
look.
he could do some
That's a
damage
super
in the
hype
ring.
man.
Okay. Yeah, look, I think I'm going to have to go... I think I'm going to go Melbourne, bro. Melbourne. Because I want someone who's got a bit of size, but I can still imagine him backflipping off a top rope.
Yeah.
And, once you got the tag team titles in any of these action sports, you need a bit of personality behind you. That guy is killing a promo, bro. He's
100%. You need someone who can do like a rock style promo at like any given moment.
100%. So my guy's Melbourne. Shout out Melbourne.
Shout out to the Uso.
What about you, Howie?
One of
Who
the
you
most
got, bro?
flowing mullets in the game as
Oh
well.
my gosh. 100%. What about you, bro?
Yeah,
We need your
man.
answer.
I'd say probably Briggs.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
Like he's the ultimate wrestling fan, and he's got size. And he's quite agile for a big fella as well. So
Yeah, look, I'm not going to lie. I'd be scared to see that man running at me.
he's got a belt too. I think you have one too. Right?
Yeah. Hey, if we're talking about mic skills, Briggs would fucking trash talk
Oh,
all
bro.
day on the
Yeah.
mic. His promos would
He'd be like the
unbeatable.
Rock, like he just. Okay.
Nookie's going to be mad that you didn't pick him, but...
Nookie can be like the manager.
We can see him in a suit doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. Okay, next question. What is the 1, 3, and 5 year vision for Take Flight? Ooh, that's kind of deep.
All right.
Deep early. I like it.
It is. Well, look, 1 year, everything we're doing now, to be honest, I want to perfect it. Like we've implemented a lot in the last couple of weeks with Kev on board and all that. So I want to perfect everything we're doing there, keep it consistent, make sure we can keep doing it. 3, I want to start, I've mentioned this before, start bringing more people on board anywhere I can. Look, friends, family, people who really care about the scene. I want to try and get them involved and try and get them some money somehow. 5, world domination. Nah, to be honest, 5 years is a long time in advance to be able to guess what we're going to be doing. It's all going to depend on how the scene is flowing too, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Because we can move as fast as the scene is moving. As more artists come out, the faster we can do that. The more segments we can bring on, the more people we can bring on board. What do you see us in 5 years, Kev?
Hey, we got some stupid segment ideas in the vault. If you guys could hear even 5% of the stupid ideas that we come up with. But also in the 1 year plan, I'm going to throw it out there. Yesterday, the guy who started Fire Festival, not Ja Rule, but the other guy, he said it's coming back. So you can
Fire
bet
Festival. Two.
Take Flight is going to be on ground at Fire Festival doing live coverage. Us in the fucking... in the emergency tents, fighting for food.
Only person I'm interviewing is that guy who was willing to, do some things for the water. Shout out to that man, all right?
Bro, he came out and spoke at Big Sound a couple of years ago, him.
All right, good. All right, we'll keep going.
Yeah, so what about the live settings for, Take Flight, doing that? Because, in America, you see a lot of podcasts kind of tour, hitting cities, doing live
100%. I'd love to see that happen, to be honest. Yeah, it's just, again, consistency with doing this to the point where people want to come out and watch us talk to some artists live show. That would be a great experience, to be honest, man.
I mean, because even getting to this point, you're probably thinking, man, when he started this, I mean, really, kind of 2 years ago.
2 years max now. Yeah, 2 years max. Yeah, I didn't expect to be sitting in this pretty studio. You're having
Talking
yourself
to me,
here. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Having you in there hosting us in
Hit
this.
the heights now.
Right,
It's downhill from here.
Is this king, man? No, but honestly, I wouldn't have expected to be here as it is. So
awesome.
in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, any progress is going to be crazy to me. I can see it now. Yeah.
Right. Let's move on to question
Good
3.
question, guys.
What's the best way to go about trying to get your music heard by labels and A&Rs? Well, let's kick it to you, Mr. A&R.
That's a Kev question.
yeah.
That's a Kev question for sure.
How he works at a label as well. So, yeah, I guess it'd be interesting to get your insight. But from my perspective, it's kind of like, you got to remember that like there's only not that many A&Rs in the country who work at, I guess, major labels. You know what I mean? There's only a handful of us, and you can imagine the volume of music that gets sent through. And I don't think the right approach is like harassing people, being like, "Why are you sleeping on me?" Yeah. Why are you ignoring me, dog? I don't think that's the right approach. I just think that honestly, like, if you're doing your thing and you're creating a bit of like organic momentum and you're building your fan base and things are going good, someone's going to reach out to you. You know what I mean? Like if you're hitting up A&Rs from every label and no one's really getting back to you, you really got to sit back and not be biased or have too much pride about your own music, but literally look at your music objectively and be like, what am I missing? You know, is if the lyrics and the production and everything is good, it's like, is it a strategy thing that I'm missing? Is there a live component missing? Is there, am I uploading to all the platforms like, for example, Triple J Unearthed or FBI Radio or all these other things that, A&Rs and labels pay attention to. So I really think that, getting out there and hounding people is probably not the right approach. Well, then again, I mean, back in the day, you used to have people, come to the labels with a CD and be like, listen to my demo, like 8 Mile
You
style.
have like people spitting in the ear at show and things like that.
So there is times it can happen though. Like there is time, but like rare.
That's kind of what the Kid Laroi did.
Yeah,
I mean, if
you
you
go.
guys remember what Laroi did when I remember seeing him outside the hotel rapping to Ben Simmons.
And he was underage.
Getting into over
Seeing
18.
the clubs, he's like, what are you doing here?
Oh my God, man. 100%.
So I guess it can work in that way, but I also feel like the Kid Laroi was like 13 at the time, so no one could really shut him down.
But that's the thing, he was it was quite endearing, It was quite
endearing.
cute. This little kid, yeah, okay, man, you let him talk, but if you're talking to a full-grown adult,
Yeah. It's a bit
please,
like a relaxed.
I'm just trying to watch a show, man. I'm trying to watch a show.
Yeah, but I would say unless you're the Kid Laroi and can kind of finesse that, I would say just be really objective about your own music and your own rollout and fill in those gaps. And I guarantee you, when you start picking up momentum or it looks like something there's about to kick off, someone's going to reach out.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't add too much to that. My experience is like, I always feel like you just need to be original. That's my number one thing. Because we can hear, we already have a Laroi, we already have a 1-4, we already have, so and so. Let's be original, and that's how you're going to cut through. But like you said, like being objective is the key as well. And I think it is important to hit up A&Rs and labels. And some people will get back to you like with a bit of feedback. But again, like you said, don't be offended if they don't. Like just keep working on your craft, and people will notice it.
100%.
Good answers, guys. Good answers.
Next questions is Take Flight Wings' only job? Is this your only job? No.
I bloody wish this was
I'll
my
tell you
only
what,
job.
man. This is probably one of the hardest working people in this industry. Like he's about a kid. When's the kid dropping?
Kid?
Yeah.
It was supposed to come 3 days ago, so any second. We
Any
are
second.
waiting for the
He
call.
could leave his podcast right now.
Literally.
I'd have to fill in and you don't want that, man. So he's got a kid on the way. He's got a 9 to 5 as well. And then outside of that, you're on Take Flight.
I appreciate the
Pretty
love.
much.
No, legit, that's it, bro. 9 or 5, or for me, it's 7 or 3, which does help because I can use that rest of the afternoon, that night to do everything you're seeing here. I spend a lot of time on my phone, a lot of time out and about
Mrs.
meeting.
must love you.
Oh, man. You know what? Shout out to her because if it wasn't for her, man, my life would be a whole different other topic trying to stay tapped into the culture.
Big shout out to the supportive partners because those partners, they're a keeper, like, encouraging ones and supportive ones. But you also got to give it back to them as well.
100%. But
But
yeah,
it does
man,
make
like
the
this
job
is
a lot
definitely
easier.
not my only job. Would I love it to be? Future things. That 1, 3, 5 year plan. Let's hope for it. Let's see some money in the rap world down under. And again, imagine the segments we could come out with if we had some money behind it.
I love how you said that his kid's about to drop. You talked about his kid like a mixtape.
Yeah, it is, man.
Baby Wings
Fresh
coming
on the
soon. Right?
Streets. Next question. Are we lacking in production in Australia in terms of sound, or have we got it right?
Would you take that as sound, like production, like the beats?
Like beat making?
Yeah.
Look,
How I read it is, do we have our own sound? Like obviously we draw a lot from drill, we draw a lot from trap, Afro. But do we have a unique Australian sound? For me, I think the closest we've got is when Hef started doing, the hybrid sound of, what would you call it?
EDM
People
crossovers?
call it party. I'm like, is that a new genre now?
But,
People just say party.
Wouldn't it be like rap EDM crossover? Like, what could you actually give it a specific
like hard
name?
energy, the kind of doof music. But, I think that's a very kind of West Sydney sound as well. And he kind of caught it, a moment. But also a big shout out to Free Souls as well. The EP they put out, it was like a really good mix of that, but their own style. And for me, that was probably a good indication of where we could go with our own sound.
Them three together, Three Souls, man, each one of them adds something special to that group. And you're right. But as for our own sound, I feel like it's still yet to be found.
Yeah.
Specifically, like there's so many producers out there here though trying to work and formulate those kind of sounds, but I don't know if rappers haven't jumped on the right beat yet that these producers are making, or if the producers themselves haven't put together something that I guess the rest of the world wants to tap into just yet.
And that's why before you jump in, that's why I say, and it's an old argument like the accent debate, right? I don't want to get into it too heavy because that's been going on since I was rapping, but I think that's why I feel it's important, because you can hear all this production that could be from Japan, from Europe or whatever, but then when you hear the voice, that's what's going to differentiate us from the rest of the world. And,
Amen.
And I feel that's why it's important to rap the way you speak.
Yeah, and I think that what you touched on before is really important. Like, forget about the rest of the world. A lot of cats in Melbourne don't even fuck with that sound, you know what I mean? When in actual fact, if I think about it, was it Will Sparks with Alex Jones? That was fucking ages ago. They did that.
Huge too.
Yeah, that tune. And then even going back, Cursor, Sky High doing the Zombie Nation track,
Yeah.
But I guess, if you think of it.
Didn't she play DEF CON with?
I know the Strangers. She was like the hype girl for a hardstyle group and stuff like that. So yeah, it is very, very super Sydney centric, at least in recent years. That's some Melbourne cats probably don't get it. So I think that it's still got a while to go, but I mean numbers don't lie. You look at those tracks from Hefs or even Brothers. Those tracks are going fucking harder than anything, man.
Australia loves party.
Australia pump their fist, boy.
Yeah, 100%, man. All right, what's next?
Okay, where's the support for the upcomers?
I guess that's directed at Take Flight. Well, to be honest, all over our page, to be fair, look, we try and put a bit of everything on there, right? Even in our weekly wrap-ups of music videos, we have a good mix, whether it's an established artist with an artist that has 1,000 followers, which what do you consider an upcoming artist these days? It could be multiple things, right? One thing, and to be fair, shout out Blood Juice wrote this on his story the other day. He said something along the lines of people ask for more underrated artists or underground artists. You post them, no one shows support. No one gets behind them. And you know what? When you're running pages like Take Flight or any of the other things out there, other platforms, if something's not getting a love behind it, it's not helping with engagement, it's not helping push the artist you're posting, to be fair, what's the use? So that's why I personally mix them in together with things like this, the playlist and the music video drops, because it gives them a bit more exposure because there's other eyes on it at the same time. But again, there's a guy, shout out to a guy called Loans. I've never really heard of him before. 1,000 followers, thought his track was hard, posted it this week. The support's out there, just tap in, guys. Tap in.
And I think you got to remember as well, it's like what's happened in the past few years is that more than ever, underground artists have become the biggest artists in Australia. So like, for example, we were doing interviews with 1-4 like fucking 5 years ago, you know what I mean? And then now like they blew up obviously and everyone's like, oh, you only support the big artists. It's like, yeah, but we support them when they're nobody. So fucking relax, you know what I mean? Like, so I feel like the underground and kind of like the not mainstream, but like, the chillinates and the biggest artists, they've only really kind of had that transition from underground to major success in the past 4 years. So obviously, we're going to continue supporting those artists because, we've done so since the start. But when it comes to underground artists, I think like you could cover, if there's 100 underground artists in Australia, you could cover 99 and people would just hone in on the one that you didn't.
Facts.
You know what
to
I mean?
be completely fair, there's a high chance that the person that wrote the question is an artist or their best friend is an artist. And I get it. People want to see themselves and their friends succeed. But, you you got to pick and choose. There's that many artists in Australia now, which is amazing to see. But again, you just got to pick and choose when it comes down to what you spread.
Yeah, and I would also add, just don't let it discourage you, man. Like we were saying before with the A&Rs and labels, like, if it's truly your passion and truly what you want to do, you'll do it anyway.
Amen.
Regardless
Amen.
of the support from blogs or radio or labels or whatever. Okay, next question.
And I also want to add, like you got to remember as well that like what we were mentioning before, Wings has a job, he has a family, Hauie has a job, he has a family. You know what I mean? Like obviously like hip hop is like a massive part of our lives, but there is stuff like outside of that. So you know what I mean? We tap in.
I don't want to hear about your kid, man.
You Baby Wings on the way.
You can't get every single person. And you know what? That's what I mean when some people just get so narky, being like, oh, you're ignoring me, you're doing this. It's like, bro, I'm literally like watching wrestling with my missus or something. You know what I mean? Like,
and look, DMs do fill up. To be completely fair, if you scroll through Take Flight DMs, there's heaps. And it's true. There is a lot of good stuff out there, but there's so many to go through. You do miss people. So keep grinding. Keep grinding, man. That's it.
All right, this is directed to you, Kev. Is Kev still an artist manager? The guy does everything.
The guy does everything, man.
Hustler.
Answer, yes, I am still a manager. Shout out Nerve. Shout out Gang Called Speed. Shout out Posse Shot from Melbourne. If you got talent out there, come join 24 Karat Enterprises.
Up in the videos.
If you got what it takes, come join the stable, brother.
You're a beast.
Hottest stable in the country. Come on.
Beast.
Okay, are major labels in Australia just heavily scouting marketable talent more than they have prior?
I'm going to let you two answer this one.
Interesting question. I feel like the idea of what we consider marketable has changed a lot over the years. Okay, so first of all, you want to say, are major labels investing more in local hip hop than before? Yes. Hauie, you would know. I feel like every major label has been investing in way more A&Rs and marketing people who come from the hip hop space. You know, whether you talk about Warner, Sony, Universal, they've all got, you know, real true to school hip hop peoples in the building. But also our idea of what's been considered marketable has changed a lot over the years. I guess, you know, it wasn't that long ago when you really think about it that if you were from Western Sydney or even fucking, you know, on that street rap aesthetic, lad rap, whatever you want to call it, that was not considered marketable. It was considered chat. You know what I mean? And that's why I always credit Cursor as being the guy who kind of really turned the dial on that, you know, when Cursor started getting number ones and he started working with Warner ADA. That, I think, was a big shift in people paying attention to this music and being like, wow, this music can actually resonate and be profitable with a lot of people. So I think, I think labels leaning in heavily more, but I also feel like our idea of what's marketable has expanded a lot. And then if you also look at people like, you know, Sampa the Great, TK Maidza, the Kid Laroi, obviously smashing it worldwide. You know, like, if I'm going to be honest, I never thought that would have been possible even like 10 years ago, you know? The level that they're reaching now is fucking wild.
Well said. I wouldn't add anything much more to that. I agree with everything you just said. Also, you know, I feel people have to acknowledge that, you know, major labels it's a music business. You know what I mean? Like, fortunately for me, my joint venture with Sony, Forever Ever Records, is more based on art and creativity. So I'm able to lean on artists that are heavily lyrical or, you know, like go against the grain. And I'm very grateful for the support that Sony have. But, you know, you look at the wider Sony label, it is a business at the end of the day, you know? Like, for me, I don't worry about streams and views as much as probably I should. But, you know, I just never felt like that should dictate success, you know? Like, that doesn't equal to success. But the wider label feel like if they're investing money into you, they need to see that come back at some point. So if you are quite marketable, that makes that job a lot easier, you know? And the music still has to be good at the end of the day. Like, without good music, we have nothing to market, we have nothing to push, nothing to service. So at the end of the day, you still got to make great music, you know, in my opinion.
And I think that labels do need people like Hauie in the building, you know what I mean? Like what you just said. It's not always just jumping on like what's hot, because what's hot always changes, you know what I mean? Like, if you told me 5 years ago that major labels would be signing, you know, rappers from Queensland or rappers from Perth who wear like Montclair jackets and Canada Goose jackets with valleys, I'd be like, you're fucking crazy, that's never happening. But, you know, it is happening now. And I think to Hauie's point, like, outside of, you know, straight a transactional return on music, labels have got to be thinking about, you know, what's music that's going to be timeless. You know, it might not get 1 million streams in the first week like another artist that's on trend at the moment, but in the long run, I think that's kind of what creates culture and creates the ecosystem. Finding music that's really timeless and outlasts all the trends.
Yeah.
Facts.
Okay, on to the next question. At your age now, what do you know for sure?
This is a crazy question.
That is a crazy question, bro. What do I know for sure at this age?
I don't know. How about we say, you at like 18 compared to where you at now? What are the bigger differences? Besides
to be honest, this is a stupid one. But truthfully, first off, hangovers are real. So while you're out there drinking, having a party, having a great old time, do it while you can, because I thought that was never coming. I partied hard and it happens. 2, traveling will change your life for me, to be honest. 100%. Traveling will change your entire life. If I didn't take the trips that I did to the United States or to Europe and take in, when I was 21, the rap culture over there, to be honest, just seeing some of my favorite that changed my entire, that's where Take Flight started. That's where Take Flight ID came from. Traveling will change your life. I'll go on to that another day, but it will change your life.
I didn't know Take Flight fans
Qantas to sponsor the show. So anyone at Qantas watching this,
I'll take Virgin. Honestly, I'll take
Rex.
Jetstar.
Etihad. Yeah. What about you, Kev? What do you know now, brother?
Crazy philosophical question, by the way. I thought this was about rap music, but I don't know. I think as you get older, the more it's like that old saying being like, the more you know, the more you realize you don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I guess the only thing I would know is that like everything's temporary. So just like don't get too in your head about anything and just ride the wave at the moment, because tomorrow it's going to fucking crash and then it's going to build up again. So don't get too in your head about it.
You got a good one for that?
I don't know. I think just always take those losses as lessons. You know what I mean? Sometimes you get small ones, sometimes you get big ones, but it's important to kind of acknowledge them, kind of figure out where you went wrong, and then just move on. You know? Like even me, I'm 47 years old. Like I'm still figuring out a lot of stuff as well. So I think it's important because I always talk about my age and how long I've been in this, and I think that's important. Hip hop has always been kind of a young man's sport or a young person's sport, like they always say. But it's only in kind of recent years where we've been able to have a Jay-Z or a Nas or an Eminem or a Dr. Dre or someone like myself that have gone through the culture and kind of evolve with time. Preach. And so, I tell a lot of young people, like, you have time, but don't waste time.
Wise words from Hauie.
Yes.
Go copy his book, by the way.
King out now.
Favorite bookstore or online?
Dimmicks.
Okay, what is an Oz rap song you would love to see remixed or featuring other Oz artists?
Remixed? Oh, God. Someone want to jump in before me? Come on, off the top of my head, I'd like to see a lot.
I think because it was, it's kind of obvious, but not really, but like one single that 1-4 never put out a video for, which I think is one of their most popular songs still, like Heartless. A fucking jam and a half. I want to see someone melodic go over that. Like, I think that's a crazy tune. Never got the video, but I think it could come back with a big remix for sure.
Oh, man.
Who would you think would jump on it? That would do that song justice. Like a Lil Baby or something like that? Or,
yeah, bro. Like, just like, even fucking, what's his name? J.I. the Prince.
Oh, yeah.
Someone like that, man. I think that would be crazy, and it's definitely the sort of song. Yeah, I've talked about this before. It's like, I feel like before Australian hip hop goes kind of like global, I think there's going to be a couple more artists on that melodic tip who are going to get through first, because the accent is super jarring for a lot of people in the States. So that could be the track, man. That could be something along those lines, I think, or a Younger Lips or something like that. I think that's going to be the next big thing out of Oz. And then slowly over time, people are going to accept the accent.
Amen. We're hearing it happening. We've heard it with Kenyon Brown. We've heard him talking about it.
Yeah.
Myself, I don't know, man. I like heavy songs, to be honest. I like big energy, but you've just put in my head a bit more melodic. And I love 14 Years by Hooks. But I'd love to hear some people talking some real shit on that with him, bro, because I love that song. So, I'd love to hear some more people telling their stories on that track too.
Nice. Okay, I'm moving on to the next one.
Let's go.
Why do you still post about Kid Laroi? He doesn't even need promo.
Okay.
Wow.
Kid Laroi, yeah. I get this actually all the time. Whenever I post a Kid Laroi, you get people saying he doesn't even support Australia. He doesn't support the community. He's just blown up. He forgot about us. But my reason for posting him, other than being a big fan of Kid Laroi's music myself, is, to be honest, bro, he defied the odds that people have been trying to break out here for years. So for me, seeing him, recent post, just posted, he's going on a 32-day tour with Little Baby across USA. Bro, when have you heard anyone from here doing those things? Yeah. That's inspiring to hear. You know, that shows that someone, that little 13-year-old kid you met out and about trying to promote his music has actually defied the odds, broke the barrier and got overseas. Whether he's fully using his Australian accent, he's kind of singing half the time anyway. Which kind of
see him like bigging up artists from here. You know,
100%.
He's bigged up Lips.
Amen.
1-4, of course.
He brought 1-4 out his own show
Sahil,
at thing where things couldn't have gone wrong, where he wasn't supposed to. He's, you know what I mean? He's again, he's just for me, that's why I post him. Defied the odds. Defied the odds.
Fair enough. And I think short answer, it's like he's the biggest hip hop artist out of Australia.
Facts.
But then once you say that, people are going to be like, oh, he's not even really hip hop anymore. He's pop. He doesn't show. And it's like, it's one of those things when people say, oh, he doesn't show love to Australian artists. Like he just said, he shouts out, 1-4 Sahil, like guys like that all the time. And it's like, I feel like when you get to that stage, it's just never going to be enough. You know what I mean? Like, you lean in on some artists, people are going to be like, you're not leaning in heavily enough. Or why don't you shout out these people or those people? You know what I mean? People are going to pick at anything that you do when you get to that level of success. And
bro, when you get to the level you're making almost pop star money, come see me and tell me who you're promoting, bro. I'm sure he's a busy guy right now. Anyway.
Okay, on to the next one. Thanks for that question.
Yeah.
Hardest female rapper in Australia?
Kick it off, Kev.
My answer, always, till I fucking die, will be Sky High.
100%, bro. All right.
It's going to be Sky High. She's the fucking best. Anyone who hasn't heard Sky High, go back to listen to her album Forever Sky High. Listen back to her freestyle on FBI Radio, the Grime freestyle with Shantan, Watan, Ichiban. Shout out to him too.
What's the ATV?
ATVT.
Yeah.
ATVT. Yeah, she did an episode of that.
Look, I came in a little late for Sky High. I'm not going to lie. Have I heard her songs? Yes. Thank you, Kev, for tapping me in all the way in.
Sydney Searchers. Sydney Searchers was hard too.
100%. But look, I'm going to go a bit more modern. I have to look. Anytime a girl drops bars on a track, she comes real. She comes authentic. She has something to say. Big fan. And although, again, we had this quick American to Australian accent thing, Tokyo Vendetta, who just dropped like 2 songs, I think is hard as fuck, bro. Not 100% sure about the accent, but bro, the bars were there, and I'm keen to see what else she has. I'm keen to see what else she comes to the table with.
Yeah,
I'm keen to meet her too, because you know what I mean. Where you be? I don't know. She popped out of nowhere, bro. Come on Sky Sessions. Come drop bars.
Tokyo Vendetta, come on the show.
Come drop bars.
I was going to add Sampa de Great. I think
you
would probably agree with that.
I'd say Barker for me.
Okay,
I'm a big fan of Sky High as well. Like when she was, when was it? Like early 2000s or 2010s or something like that, right? Yeah, she's crazy and can sing as well. But yeah, Barker for me, like right now, just the conviction in her voice and her delivery, super passionate lyrics, what she stands for, her energy, her stage presence as well is off the charts. So big shout out to Barker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I seen her live at the We Are Warriors event.
That was heavy,
back
bro.
in January. Barker's performance, crazy. You could hear a pin drop at some moments because everyone was just captivated. So shout out to Barker too, man.
Okay, this is an interesting one. I saw you ask Kahooks this question. Do you feel there is a rise in industry plants in the Australian scene? But it says "or," and then there's not.
Yeah.
It's saying like "or."
Okay, Howie, can you tell us what is your definition of an industry plant?
Well, as far as I understand it, is when a label injects an artist into the scene and gives them everything they need to succeed, without having to go through all the trials and tribulations that a normal artist would have to go through. I just think that Australia is not big enough to have an industry plant, to be honest.
100%. I've seen, from again, take flight emails and whatnot from some labels, that obviously labels try and get your artists while they're young and push them.
Yeah.
But
that's a whole different story. That's like development.
100% it is. 100%. But other than that, they're not sending them into quick milli streams and quick stadiums worldwide. So
I feel like a lot of the time people be like, oh, this artist is an industry plant from so-and-so label. It's like, no, that's just the label doing their job.
Yeah.
That's what they're being paid to do. And, if an artist has had good development or a push in certain areas, that's what people have labels for. That's why people sign to labels. I feel like an industry plant for me personally is when a major label not only gets involved, but they create the story. They create the story and they create the sound, they create the look.
AI rapper that came out before.
That was crazy, by the way. It lasted 2 days?
AI, to be honest.
Yeah, that's another story itself.
But yeah, I agree. And and I think a lot of people, probably in Kahooks' instance, for a lot of people, they wouldn't have they would have seen Due Time as the first thing from him. And from then he obviously like did really well. So I think for a lot of people it was hard for them to comprehend like
How
this
did he
is
do
the first
so-
song and he's already got like 1 million views but you know, if you track mate, Google's your friend, mate. You know, just do due diligence and just kind of have a little bit of research and see where he came up from. And as with a lot of these rappers, you know, it's not hard to find where they came up from. Like Central C is like everyone talking about him being an industry plant, but you see his story from young as well. So,
and if you ever got real questions about where an artist come from, tune into the Take Flight podcast. We got all your best information right here, guys.
Yeah, 100%. And also, it's like if you just sit back objectively and think about it, and be in Cooks' instance, you'd be like, "Oh, Due Time got 1 million streams, yada yada yada." It's like, yeah, but when you think about it, he was doing a style of drill that was largely untouched in Australia at that time. I mean, if you think back the start of last year or whenever the fuck it was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People were just out there doing a very abrasive style of drill. It wasn't that many people who were kind of using the sonics of drill and using it to talk about
came
the
through
more,
a bit jiggy,
vulnerable or you know, sensitive side. So maybe that's the reason he got a lot of streams. You know what I mean? But then it's way easier for people to just say, "Oh, he's an industry plant," than actually sit back and think about things, you know, in an objective manner. So
it's all right. You'll be fine.
Fucking industry plants.
Oi Wings, what artists would you say are underrated?
How did it start? Oi Wings?
Yeah.
Oi. Oi.
Bro.
Underrated. Bro,
Yeah,
so many
so
artists
many.
personally, and I guess this is a personal thing too.
And I think there's a difference between underrated and underappreciated.
Yeah, okay.
As well.
Yeah.
in what sense? Can you explain that?
Like I feel like, you know, just say like Black Thought, right? For me, he's not underrated because everyone knows how good he is. But I feel he's underappreciated because he should be in the same conversation as the Jay-Z's and the
Yeah.
Nas's and that. You know what I mean? So it's this difference there. But
Fine
we'll
line.
start at underrated anyway.
Look, I'll go down 2 lines here. One, I think, even though you're here, this is not just for Kev's. I think Nerve, to be honest. I
I
think.
thought you were going to say Kev.
No, Chinatown
I thought you were about
Champs.
to say Chinatown Champs 2 was
I
about
only
to-
watched that for
to
the
drop.
first time the other day, funnily enough. Nerve, to be honest, I think as a producer, an artist, a rapper, I think he has so much going on for him.
Is he underrated though? That's
All right, see, now this is your conversation
He's
about the fine line.
underappreciated.
And maybe underappreciated. Like, I just feel there should be a lot more of the public into him. And again, this is my personal opinion because I'm a big fan of Nerve and what he does. And you can see the skill behind his beats, his raps, his
Hard
bars,
work,
his
though,
rhymes, all of that. So everything about him, I just think, I can see him selling out more theaters in a second. And I don't know why that's not happening. That's my opinion.
Yeah, why isn't that happening, Kev?
Kev,
I
push
don't know,
hard.
bro.
The only...
I'll figure it out. And let you guys know.
Other than that, I think as a whole,
Kev's
I
like,
think
why
in a,
isn't he selling out?
and you can tell me if this is underrated or underappreciated because I know you've been around for a long time too. The Manu Crookses of the world, the Lil Spaces of the world, blessed in a whole different category because this guy is a creative genius. But the whole BBGB crew, to be honest, you put in B-Wise, Kwame, the African Australian community, for some reason, I have talked to, Blessed about this before, and he thinks it's support for each other that has held against them.
Within their community?
That was his response. Yeah. But I don't see how no one has ever caught on to them and blown them up over years because they've come out with some big tracks out here, in my opinion.
Manu Crooks, really blew the door open for what is happening now.
Shout out every day.
Yeah.
Anyway. Manu Crooks was the first Australian track I seen them drop at a club, and it just fucked up the whole dance floor. When Every Day, Assumptions.
Oh, bro.
Blowing up.
Yeah,
Blowing
Day
up.
Ones. When
That
that
whole
shit
EP.
dropped in the club and you saw just front to back people dancing, like the same way they dance to the tracks in the US and then later the UK, you know what I mean? And then a couple years after that, obviously people were dropping No Effect or people were dropping The Message. And that shit was setting off dance floors. And I think that's really exciting, you know what I mean? Because people who go, I think, to the club, the club section of hip hop or whatever, they're usually more into more American or UK stuff. So that just really shows like how far music's come, because it wasn't always that you'd hear an Australian track get dropped and it would pump like that, you know what I mean? Like a lot of tracks from Australia, early 2010s and 2000s, they're mad, but they're not club tracks, so big ups to Manu.
Yeah, shout out Manu.
Was that yours?
Underrated? Underrated, I would say Skem. And the GP. I've said it on a podcast before, but I think that if they drop more music, those guys could pick up a lot of traction. The GP, he's a hungry young fella. He can spit his fucking ass off. And also Skem. I think he's a really good mix between kind of being lyrical, but also being super introspective as well, which I think resonates with a lot of people. I think if he puts out more music too, he's going to be on a bigger level for sure. Underappreciated, I would say Kobe D. I've said it time and time again. Kobe, I feel like, you know, outside of being a mad lyricist and storyteller, I think just the narrative and what he represents, super important. And I feel that, you know, he's going to be there in a couple of years, I think.
Yeah.
How?
What about you?
Can't let us go without your answers. Yeah.
I would say, I'm not sure if it's underrated. Oh, he might be right down the middle, underrated and underappreciated. Marley Jose.
Yes. Okay.
Man, he's just, for me, you watch him and what he does, his content, the consistency, the style, like it's just awesome. But it's just, maybe we're not, as a wider community, not ready for him yet.
I think that there is a time for him real soon.
That's what I feel. Like we talked about not being discouraged, you know,
Yeah.
he's a prime example of it. You know, I came across his music as a 16-year-old in Unearthed High. And he's been working since then. Like I think what is he, like 20 or something like that?
Okay.
So I feel like he's just scratching the surface of his true potential. So that should show you, like, if you put the hard yards in and stay consistent, then you'll get there. And I feel he's not there yet, but people are starting to realize, like, oh shit, this guy is really good.
Yeah, his latest couple of drops have been, again, I wasn't tapped in before the one with Kobe D, to be honest, so shout out both of them. But since then, he's consistent and great drops, man. So hell yeah.
He's from Perth, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey, shout out to all the artists from Perth too, because
He's from Freo. Shout out to Freo.
yeah, anyone on Western Australia, because I feel like, you know, music, especially the industry side of things, is so hyper focused on the East Coast and obviously Sydney and Melbourne especially. And Perth, people from overseas are fucking so surprised when they realize how far Perth is. You fly 5 hours straight, you're in the same country. And, you know, I know a lot of artists out there can feel like, you know, sometimes they're getting left out of conversations and whatever, but I swear to God, the Perth artists been grinding, man. Everyone out on the West Coast, shout out to you guys. And
I want to hear more from Harry Hilfiger while we're at it.
hey, straight up. He lives in Sydney now, though.
Yeah, he moved here, but he's still from Perth. So anyway.
Is Oz rap falling off?
Oz rap falling off.
Howie, you want to go first?
I'd say no. You know, I think we definitely saw a great period of hip hop there, you know, 2018, 2019, obviously with the explosion of 1-4, and that kind of grabbed everyone's attention and imagination. And I think we kind of hit a plateau, but you know, that's just music. That's just life in general. You know, we can also talk about the heights of the hoods or, you know, or draft, you know, it's ebbs and flows. So are we in a kind of plateau? Possibly. But, you know, if you love the music, you love the music. It doesn't matter if it's trending or not. You know, that's how I feel. And that's why you shouldn't jump on the trends or the waves, because those things are going to die, you know. And if being an artist is truly a passion, that shouldn't matter. But if you're an artist because you think it's a cool thing, then
see you later.
Sorry, mate. Don't know what to tell you.
Nah, no chance it's falling off right now. And like you said, has it plateaued? It's very chill right now. Yeah. It's quiet out there. But like you said, there's a lot of young artists working away in the background that could be the next, you know, bring that sound to the surface. Mm-hmm. There's new sounds coming every day, new producers working on new music every day. It's just a matter of time. There's more people than ever in the background working away. You know, Take Flight's working hard to bring you the finest of sounds out here. You got, you know, people like welcome to the area. You got Ziggy, Mr. C on the radio doing their things, bring it to the airwaves. You've got people in the buildings making choices with artists. There's a lot of moves being made. It's just a matter of time till something pops off again and some craziness goes down. Yeah,
you know, you added all those people in. Big shout out to them, but also a big shout out to all the videographers, all the creators behind it that make this scene as well. It's not just the artists.
Preach.
And I feel like everything, like you said, how is cyclical. Music and fashion especially, you know what I mean? Like, obviously 2018, 2019 was I would call it a golden era in Australian rap. That was when, you know, the
golden era, eh?
Yeah, that's when the underground really started kind of transitioning into that mainstream arena. You had Chillin' It now doing 5,000 tickets a city. You had 1-4 doing this and that. Obviously, that was a golden period, and has it plateaued? I think it has a little bit, but then again, like you said, Wings, like a couple of years or maybe even 1 year, 2 years, it only takes one artist to kick that whole thing off again. And when you think about it, it was only fucking 10 years ago, if you were wearing TNs and you were into Australian rap, people would have just fucking laughed at you. You know what I mean? Like, it was cool with like a very small subsection of people, and people would have laughed at you. And then look what happened. You know what I mean? And
we're wearing them right here on Take Flight. You know what I mean?
Hey, Nike, get on board. But I'm also going to say that the people who are saying, oh, Ozrap's fallen off, Ozrap's dead, this and that, they're going to be the first ones jumping back on the bandwagon when it gets popular again.
Yeah.
Am I
Or they're just
right?
going to jump on
100%,
whatever
bro.
else is like cool, you know? Like,
Yeah.
so,
100%, bro.
Yeah.
So it's like, have a bit of faith and like what you like. If you love it, then you know you're gonna ride it out, and then when it gets popular again, you're gonna have friends to talk about whatever this and that. More people are gonna get involved in it. So just don't be so pessimistic, I would say.
Facts.
okay, this one, I'm sure you would have got this question. Heaps swings. How do we get featured on Take Flight?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Is that the top FAQ?
Oh my God, the most asked question in the DM that you don't have time to reply to these all. I've said this
How many
multiple
times people offer you money?
Oh, bro, every day without fail. Whether it's artists, labels, companies, brands, all the time. But yeah.
Is that how you paid for all your tattoos?
I had these before Take Flight. I've said this before on our story. I've said, bro, just do your thing. And I think he's mentioned it before. Just grind away. Don't be discouraged. Do your thing. I can't tap into every single person out there. There's one of me. Now I've got a Kev that helps me out
and
too.
I think also, sorry to cut you off, but also
You're right.
like Take Flight is just one piece of the puzzle.
100%.
As well. Obviously, you know, you're doing your thing well, and people would benefit from being posted on your blog, but there's also other blogs. There's also other avenues to get seen. So
there is so much out there. And again, like, you're not working to impress myself. You're not working to impress the industry.
Yeah.
You're working to make yourself happy, make some great art. And look, if you've got a fan base, impress them. You know what I mean? They're the people who are going to buy tickets to your shows, buy your shirts, keep you running, you know, keep your business,
100%.
which is yourself, running. Just work hard, go vibe. And to be honest, if I come across some mad music, I post it. That's the only way. I don't have a submit button. I don't have none of this. I find it, I post it. You might tell me about someone afterwards, word of mouth, come out to shows, come out to flight nights, say what's up. Man, the amount of people I've met across the country when I've put on the flight night shows is beyond. You know what I mean? Looney CK in Queensland, a guy called CV from Melbourne, never heard of him before.
Yep.
I got
shout out to CV.
Bro, CV, my gosh, bro. I wish I...
But also, I think you mentioned that too, like the Take Flight shows. That's also an important component to being an artist, is going out there, being outside, as they say. Like, go out there, meet people, show your face. If you see a big fella out and about, introduce yourself. You know, don't be on some, why aren't you posting me? Just introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and just leave it at that, you know. But I think that's important. It's the networking.
Preach.
Yeah.
That's
I feel like a lot of rappers now, especially because of how good technology is nowadays, you can learn everything on YouTube tutorials, get a fucking NPC in your room. People think that staying in the studio and just grinding, like, that's it. It's like, oh, I'm going to make a mad song. I'm going to stay in the studio 16 hours a day. Oh, hustle never stops, this and that. But a big part of being an artist is being out there, showing your face, reminding people that you're there, shaking hands and saying what's up. I swear the best ideas for songs, a lot of them have come from fucking people at a kick-ons in a marathon or something. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying go out there and fucking just get drunk all the time and take drugs. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. Don't put words in my mouth. But, you know, it really is important to get out there, and I'm not saying party, but just, you know, talk to people.
Live life.
Not even on a music thing. Just talk to people on a human level, and then, you know, something can develop from that. And I'm not saying that should be the objective, but like, it's definitely important to go out, show your face.
And you meet some great people along the way, man. The amount of people I met in the music industry, no matter what side of the industry, you know what I mean? I met some great people that turned to friends for life. And, you know, even outside the music world, man, they're just good people. You know what I mean? They help you.
You need good people in your life, because
you do.
Guarantee you there's some shit cunts out there.
Oh, yeah.
They're good people, but trash rappers.
Hey, I'd rather hang out with a trash rapper that's a good person than a
100%.
really good rapper.
Amen to that, bro.
Dick.
Okay,
What we got?
how do new rappers go about building a team with one mutual goal? I think we kind of answered it there. It's like, be outside, meet people, like-minded people, you connect. And I know it's hard, especially coming out of COVID.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people have become anxious, you know, being in crowded spaces, and it is tough. But I feel that is the number one way to meet like-minded people that are genuine. Because you can meet anyone online.
100%.
You can be a real dick, you know.
And like you said, genuine people who have a belief in either what you're doing, what everyone's doing, someone who loves their work. Like you see the young'uns now, I sound old saying that, but like the Navs, the Slippins, we talked about, they're Tommies, they form their little group. They're always together doing their thing, making art. I don't know what the money situation is between all of them all the time, but they're working together at all times. You know, even Take Flight, to be honest. I've got people behind the scenes when it comes to the video stuff who I couldn't do it myself. Do I have money to pay them right now? The last year and a half? No. But they believe in the future of what we've got coming, right? So they're around, they're helping where they can. You know what I mean? And they've taught me to be...
get some paperwork.
Huh? Yeah, shout out Big D.
There's some paperwork to be covered in...
Shout out Chris, shout out Dan. People have been here to help along the way. And look, to be honest, you find people who believe in you and what you do, you have a great time along the way as well, man.
Yeah, that's it.
And I think an important thing you mentioned there was that I feel like a lot of young artists, they have, you know, a manager or a booking agent or a promoter that they work with when they're kind of just starting up. They get successful, and then other people start trying to buy into the project.
Yeah.
Okay, so I feel like
swear on this.
Yeah.
I really feel like artists have to be really cautious of that and think in the long term, because someone might be offering you a big check or someone might give you a lot of promises. That doesn't mean they understand your vision. That doesn't mean they understand your art. They're just trying to get their 10%, their 20% or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like, you'd way rather stick with someone who actually understands your mission from the start and has been with you the whole time. I'm not saying you can't build your team. Definitely build your team, but just be cautious about who you're letting into the fold, because a lot of these people, like, they'll see hip-hop music get popular or any genre, you know, dance, hardcore, punk, pop, whatever. They'll see a genre get popular and everyone just tries to buy in. You know, you don't want to be in this situation where you have, you know, some big time, big shot fucking manager come in. All right, sweet, he's going to co-manage me. And you're, you know, a trap rapper and they want to put a fucking hyperpop ass singer like on your track, you know, because this is going to be mad for streaming and then radio's going to play it, and it's just not true to you. So just make sure that they understand your sound and understand the genre and the community before getting someone on board.
Hey,
That's
man.
all I got to say.
Yeah.
Hey,
The young say like only ate with those I starved with.
Yeah, it's a perfect. Yeah.
All right, last two questions. Big shout out to all those that sent the questions in again,
man,
by the way.
We got so many questions I didn't expect. If you like this stuff, if you want to hear us talk more, throw it in the comments. Let us know in the DMs if you're listening on Spotify, because we'll run these again. 100%.
Yeah, man, you gotta tap them with the people.
100%.
Okay, have you got any funny celebrity encounter stories? I know you have quite a few.
Yeah, I have heaps. Wings also has heaps.
I got. Are we just going to choose one?
Just choose one.
All right. If we're talking funny, you guys know the Jackass Boys?
Yeah.
All right. So there was a time where they came to Australia to do a little run. You know, Wee Man.
Yeah.
You got Party Boy. They played at they performed at the brewery to talk through some stories and whatnot. The runner of the event thought it'd be great to introduce me to them backstage with a whole lot of tequila. So I hung out, did a whole lot of tequila for too many hours. At the end of the night, it was time for everyone to get photos with these guys. And I thought, I'm going to impress them, bro. I'm going to impress them right now. So I have this weird skill that I can stand on my head for a very long time. All right. So I was like, guys, if I stand on my head right now, can you all just stand around me and take a photo? They're like, yeah. All right. I'm on my head. These guys just disappear. I smash into the ground. There's a photo of me just standing there on my head by myself, and then another photo of me on the ground. Anyway, hilarious. They laughed at me. Great jokes. And it was freaking... But anyway, shout out to the Jackass Boys, man.
Was that for the last movie? Or
No, that was just a tour they did to come through.
Okay.
They came through to talk about Jackass stories, do a few stunts on stage. It was like Wee Man, Party Boy, Preston Lacey, the big chubby guy. Someone else. But anyway, bro, very embarrassing moment. If you want to see a photo, hit me up.
Yeah, I want to see the photo. Superimpose it. Yeah.
All right, right here.
Right here. What about you, Howie?
Funny. We're talking funny.
Funny. Quite a few. Well, one when I was doing the hip hop show. I can't even believe his name. What was the rapper's name? The Eminem.
Machine Gun Kelly.
No.
I was going to say, don't you pretend to forget.
No, the one before that, the Slum American guy.
Yellow Wolf.
Yellow Wolf. He came into the studio for an interview, and apparently he came off just fresh off the flight. So he came through, and you know, for me, when I interview artists, I like to do a lot of research and then play a lot of songs that may not get played usually when he does, you know, when they do interviews. So I picked this one song from like an EP he signed. He did before he signed to Shady. and we're playing it, and he was like, "Oh yeah, oh," you know, he was like pleasantly surprised, like, "Oh, awesome, you're playing this." I'm like, "Yeah, cool." And then he kind of just went, he just like switched and was like, "Well, actually, don't play this." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "No, I don't play. I'm on Shady Records now." I'm like, and I said, "Yeah, but you know, not everyone knows your back catalog, so I thought it'd be, no, I don't want you to play this. I'm on Shady Records." Like, and he was like just mad. He put his hood on and he was just like mad sulky throughout the whole interview. And he was just like a real cunt. But then, you know, he kind of understood like where I was coming from, the questions I was asking, and he kind of warmed up. But that just off the top of my head was one thing, and it's just a running joke with myself, and shout out to Tristan, speaking of creatives, top photographer. Like he was in the studio too. And when we were having these kind of like back and forth, the whole room was like just quiet, and I would just look at Tristan. Tristan's like like laughing to himself. So yeah, that's just off the top.
Tristan, come on the pod, bro.
Yeah, come on the pod.
Your stories are well needed.
Taking photos of Gucci Mane and shit.
Well needed to be heard.
I thought you were going to say you found a deep cut where he dissed Eminem and he was scared he was going to get exposed. Because that's what happened to I Love Mackinnon. You remember him?
Oh, the going up Tuesday?
Yeah, no, someone found a tweet where he dissed Drake from like 10 years back. And then that's why he's just been kind of AWOL. Because it's like, you dissed your boss, bro.
Be careful, man.
Yeah, you got to relax out there.
Kev, funny story. Who you got?
I don't know if any of them are funny. They're just like...
All right, tell us your best.
Yeah, like my story wasn't even that funny. I was thinking about it now. I was like, that's a pretty shit story, to be honest.
What was funny? Oh, actually, the first Kendrick Lamar interview, that was pretty funny. That was when he just dropped Good Kid, Mad City.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Good Kid, Mad City tour. It was his first Australian tour. So he literally was like fucking... I think they announced the tour, sold out at the Metro, then he dropped Good Kid, blew the fuck up, and then he sold out the Enmore in like 2 hours or something. So anyways, like Universal Records were like, "Oh, you want to interview Kendrick?" And I think there was 3 people interviewing him in Sydney. So shout out to Katie Hardwick for putting me on. So I rock up at the Hilton Hotel. And I'm just in the lobby, just like being a weird cunt, just like sitting around. And then Kendrick Lamar just comes down to the lobby in like grey sweats with his manager, and he's just standing in the lobby. And I'm like, "Hello." Yeah. And then he was just like, "Hey, man." And then we're like, "Where do you want to do this interview?" He's like, "Oh, how about back up in my room?" And we're like, "All right, sweet." He's staying on like the fucking 48th floor or something. All of us get into the lift, and it's just like dead silent. It's just like dead silent.
He's watching the numbers of the floors.
Yeah, straight up. It's like ticking over. Kendrick's just like looking at the floor. And then like, fucking 20 seconds of silence. His manager's like, "I like your hat." I was like, "Oh, thank fuck." Talked about my hat for like 5 minutes.
What hat was it? Was it Ed Hardy or something?
Bro, this was like 2013, 2014. So you know it was like a snapback, but the brim was leather. And like, you know what I mean? Like that era of hip hop. If you were there, you were there. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
Went into the room, did his interview. He was a mad cunt. Really, really nice. I remember the last question I asked him. I was like, "So finally, I got a really important question to ask you. Are you playing Fucking Problems featuring A$AP Rocky and 2 Chainz and Drake tonight?" He's like, "I'll think about it." And he played it at the show, and I was like, that was because of me. But after we did the interview,
big shout out to Kev.
Yeah. After we did the interview, I was like, "Oh, do you mind if we go to Flick?" And his manager was like, "Yeah, of course." So his manager took my phone. This was obviously, again, 2014. It was like an iPhone 5 or something, you know what I mean? They were trash phones. So he's trying to take a photo of me and Kendrick, but it was super dark, so he couldn't figure out how to open the blinds. It was like an electronic blind thing. And then he couldn't figure out how to turn on the light, and like it was just super fucked. And then so his manager was like climbing on the bed of the room. Climbing on the bed, so he had to take the angles and then turn on the side lamp. And then in the end we got a Flick, but it took like literally like 7 minutes. But
managers
of cool.
Instagram.
And then I interviewed him like 2 years later after that when he had his Reebok collab, the one before the Nike one. No, I don't think so.
Okay, cool. Totally.
But yeah, that was a cool story. I think it's always good when you get an artist early, like, and then they become who they become, and it's always good to look back and reflect on it for sure.
Awesome. Okay, final question, boys.
Let's go.
Do you think overseas will ever catch on to our rap?
Oh, a good one to end.
That's one for you, Howie. I think.
Yeah, you can kick it, bro.
I think they already have.
Yeah.
You know, like I think to what level, you know, we can. That's an open discussion, but you know, a lot of people have been tapped into the Australian scene for a long time. You know, like Hilltop Hoods got a song with Black Thought, like Bliss and Esther got a song with Nas. You know, I even did a song with Rodney P, who's like, for those into UK rap, he's like legend. And, you know, I think they've always been, I mean, the cool ones have been tapped in. Like, but if you're talking about the wider kind of audience, I think definitely due time.
I'm 100% convinced it's gonna. I wouldn't spend so much time doing all this if I didn't think there would be a great outcome for everyone. To be honest, and you're hearing more about it every day. We've heard it from artists on the show. I was talking to another friend of mine the other day. Just came back from America, and he had some meetings with some labels, and they said they had an hour meeting the day before about Australian artists and what they're doing over here. And this is a pretty well established label, so the talks are being had. Once people catch on to, like you said, our heavy accent at some point, I don't know how long it's going to take. I've talked about this before, but the more music that's out there, the more opportunities for people to catch on and enjoy what we're doing. The day will come.
It has to happen.
The day will come.
We talk about the accents. You look at the British, what's happening in the UK, like America being slow onto them, but they're at a point where they love their, like you saw it with Skepta and you saw it with Dizzy and MIA and, now with Central C. So the market is there. I think it's just we've got to make cool shit as well.
Preach.
And speaking of old collabs, I got to shout out another one, Lyrical Commission and Self-Titled.
Yeah,
if
of course,
anyone's heard that track, All Out War, that shit blew my mind when I was a kid. But yeah, to your point, I feel like it's only a matter of time. Yes, Americans do tend to be protective over the accent, and they are the birthplace of hip hop. But I feel like it's truly becoming a global thing. You know what I mean? You can go online and look up Japanese grime. You can go online and look up Irish drill. The influence that Latin music is having on the hip hop space, that Afro beats is having on the hip hop space. I think it's just truly becoming like a global language that doesn't have to be born and bred in New York or something like that. And it has been like that for a while, but we're talking about on a widespread level. And I think that, I've said it so many times, but one of the huge, maybe the best achievement that 1-4 have ever done was actually showing people that there's brown people in Australia. Like, a lot of people didn't know that. And it sounds stupid for us to say sitting here as people who lived in Australia, because we know that Australia is such a multicultural country, but, a lot of people from the UK and the US, they don't even know that. So, like, once people tap in and realize that we have so many different sounds and so many different people and we all talk different and dress different and sound different, when people realize that, it's game over. The only thing that's against us is that we're far away from stuff. But
I was about to say that. But no Americans want to come here, especially from London as well. Like, it's like a day flight.
But the day will come. All right, Hal, thank you so much for coming through.
Thank
you everyone for the questions. Like I said, if you got more questions, we'll come back on here one day. If you enjoyed this, throw them in the comments. All right, it's your boy Wings. It's 24 Karat Kev. It's Hauie Beast. Take flight. We out here, man.